Add the extra bacon to the Stoner's Revenge, Mr. G. Welcome to Simplified Sparky Marketing. If you haven't been there, there is a burger place in Sydney called Mr. G's. I would highly advise it. It's in North Strathfield. But prior to it being in North Strathfield, it was located on Parramatta Road in Five Dock, across from what is now Total Tools, I believe, and KFC, whatever you're looking at. And I used to love the fact that it was very simplistic. Like, you would literally check Instagram, see what burger they had that weekend. I think they used to open maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if not even just Friday, Saturday, Sunday to start with. So it was a small little burger truck. There was probably about 2 to 3 staff in there, maybe 3. There was one taking orders and the rest were churning out the burgers in the background. And why I love the simplicity of it was, if you didn't want that type of burger, you just didn't go or you didn't order it. And there was specific burgers that would obviously bring in a good crowd, really good as well to A/B test what burgers are working, what to stick with, what not. They used to try out different burgers as well. But when the Stoner's Revenge was available, it would draw the biggest crowds. And it's probably one of my favorite burgers out of there. And what would happen was they'd have queues of people lining up, but like the queue moved crazy quick. And because the business was extremely simplistic, it was one choice of burger. So, I mean, they didn't have to go dabbling between chicken burgers and regular burgers or different sauces, different toppings. It was, the burger was the burger. And if you wanted to add extra bacon and another beef patty, that was probably it. That's all you could add to the burger. So it was very easy to modify that whilst making the burgers. But the staff in there used to absolutely churn them out. And I think that's what got me thinking as well about businesses being so simplistic. Then they moved, the truck allegedly got burnt down. They moved to a temporary cafe in North Strathfield, and they now have a permanent fixture in North Strathfield, which is on, I think it's George Street or George's Road, the main drag in Strathfield. Just Google it. And highly recommend that if you're in Sydney. But now they've mixed it up and they've become like a bigger model. But I reckon the profit was insane when it was a truck, because they obviously didn't have a shop and they had a lot less staff, and it was just one simple burger. So it got churned out and was made really quickly. And that's kind of what got me thinking about simplistic businesses and models that make money. And I'm not anti-diversity. If you want to go and diversify your business and open up all sorts of different divisions and services, by all means go nuts. But if you think about it, you'll have your core service that you're good at, your bread and butter of what you do day in, day out, or what got you to where you are now, perhaps with a couple of staff members. And all of a sudden, a shiny object is coming in the way of, you're like, fuck, maybe I'll try solar or battery. Maybe I'll get into that avenue. But if you focus on what you do correctly and you're making really good money on it, it's worth pursuing that, because it's easier to systemize and make your business more systematic, lean, profitable if you can focus on one, plugging staff members, etc. into it. Whereas, let's say, for instance, you've got a lean residential service business and it's repeatable, it's very predictable how it's going to go down. The leads are going to come in, they're going to get handled in a certain way, they're going to get quoted a certain way, they're going to get booked in, the job's going to get done, you're going to get paid, they're going to get nurtured, rinse and repeat. Now, if you start doing stuff like, all right, let's dabble into solar and battery. I don't know solar and battery because I don't do it, but you're going to have to obviously do a lot of paperwork, government schemes. You're going to have to do a lot of measurements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you're adding a bit of complexity to your business. Now, if you can plug this in and it all works, that's all well and good. I'm just putting it out there, that just a thought really, that when your business is boring and repeatable, it's probably at its most profitable, that you know what money you're going to make, you know how to make the money quickly, efficiently, and you know how to invoice. Super quick podcast interruption. Hope you're enjoying it. If you check out the show notes attached to this podcast, there are links to find me directly. If you want to work with me, I work with electrical business owners just like you, improving their electrical businesses. If you want a little bit extra to the podcast, there's also a short email series to improve your simplified Sparky marketing flywheel. Back to the podcast. Now, when you look at the franchise models that are out there, this is kind of evident what I say about boring. It's like it's your usual, like lawn mowing, cleaning, testing and tag, plumbing, electrical, pest control, pool services, stuff like that. We all know the franchise mobs out there, and when people jump into them. On a side note, I think people that enter a franchise model are off their head. It's just like, basically you're paying them to start a business. It makes no sense. And if you ever do expand and you kick off, guess whose flag you're flying? You're flying Allmate Jim or whoever. But anyways, that's a podcast for another day. If you look at these businesses, look at lawn mowing. Like, how complex is lawn mowing? They know that it's basically just the same repeatable system. Get the leads in, handle them the same way, probably get a set rate to cut such a size lawn, send out the quote or quote on the spot or whatnot, get paid, get a cut, most likely hook them into some form of subscription that it's like that thing's going to grow in 2 weeks. We'll be back. It might grow in a week, and rinse and repeat. Same thing with cleaners, plumbing and electrical for those franchise models. Predominantly our service and maintenance. I could be wrong, but I can't imagine like a Gyms or Platinum or someone like that quoting a new build. Now, I could be totally wrong. I think it's down to the franchisee, the type of work that they do. They mainly give you the core systems that it's kept repeatable and the same kind of clients and how you handle the clients and all of that. And I think as well, a lot of it is boredom, that why we get it into our heads as electrical business owners. Let's give this a crack. I wanted to get into batteries because I was doing a lot of Tesla chargers. I wanted to do batteries and I looked into it, and then I realized I had to do solar to get the battery, etc., etc. And I was like, I do not want to do solar. So that was put on ice. So to get the battery, as you know, solar guys, you have to do your solar ticket to renew your battery, which makes a lot of sense with accreditation to actually know what the fuck you're doing if you're playing around with batteries, which makes a whole lot of sense. I think from the outside looking in as well, that why boring businesses are profitable is repetition reduces mistakes. So if you go into something blind, kind of like I spoke about on my podcast a few episodes ago about doing those smart blinds, if you don't know what you're letting yourself or your company in for, you're going in blind, where you know you've done this job 20, 30 times, you know that thing inside out. It just reduces a lot of mistakes that can be made by you quoting it or staff doing the job. So the systems are repeatable as well. There's a few ways to do things, but in your company, if you've got your systems dialed in, you will have a system for how you, for instance, install solar panels, how you install a battery. And then the staff are taught on that of how they actually do that. Everybody's got their own way of doing things. And that's why it's very important as a business owner that you do have those systems in place that the team can follow. There's less thinking about the job as well. So there's a lot more brain power and calories burnt when there's something new that you're trying to figure out or try to quote. You may have underquoted it, you may have overquoted it and lost the job, but there's a lot more thinking involved when you don't do that repetitive work. And then predictable equals cash. Like, predictable is going to be the reason why it's a steady income and steady flow. Whereas if you diversify and you start doing everything and anything, and maybe you've got nothing dialed in, you're dabbling in too many things. And something I speak about as well is your van not having the correct stock for the job in it. Let's say, for instance, you usually do residential, but now you've taken on solar and you've got to go out to a solar job to troubleshoot or something like that. Your van may not be stocked correctly for it because you only dabble in it now and then. It's those little hindrances and efficiencies. All those little things add up. Now, the cost of it being a boring business usually comes down to staff. And this is a big one, is if you do the same work over and over again. I mean, I look at the work that I do and I'm like, fuck me, I would hate to do this as a staff member. It's nitty gritty. There's crawling, there's rummaging. As electricians listening to this podcast, you'll know what it is like for a Sparky. And I look at that going like, I look at this with dollars in my eyes every time I do it. I don't look at it as like, this is shit work. But if I was a staff member getting wages, I'd be looking at that going like, fuck, this is a bit shit. Unless you're paying your staff members very well with incentives. That's the other side of it. When there's a bit of variety for your staff members, I think they'll stick around longer. Now, unless they're an awesome staff member, they buy into your company, your culture, you're paying them correctly with incentives, whatever way you want to rock it. But that is the downside of a business that is very repetitive, is you may turn staff away. So realistically, if you want excitement, get a hobby. And if you want to build profit, build a boring business that's repeatable. Joking, you can do whatever the hell you want. Your business is your business. Have a look at businesses out there that are repeatable, profitable versus the ones that are seriously complex and just dabbling in everything and anything, getting carried away. All the links you need from me are underneath in the show notes, and I will catch you next week.